travel vlog part 3. I'm currently going back from Colorado to Kansas. Believe it or not, I'm in Colorado right now. I'm in the prairie part of Colorado. You can just barely sometimes see Pikes Peak behind me in the mirror, but I am heading to Mount Sunflower, the highest point in Kansas, and then Monument Rock, which are two really cool, not haunted necessarily, but really neat places I wanted to hit and just touch on this series before we get back to the haunted stuff. See you there. I wasn't actually filming as I crossed into Kansas, but coming from Colorado, as you cross into Kansas, about half a mile from the state line, you'll pass this county road. It's called County Road 3. There's a little teeny tiny, easy to spot, easy to miss sign that says Sunflower Mount, or Mount Sunflower, 12 miles this way. So I just turned on that county road, and it's now 12 miles of dirt road to my destination. Miles later, you turn left here on Washburn Road. The location is on an active ranch, so there will be cows.
Continue on Washboard Road for 1 mile.
Here it is, you can kind of see it there. This is the highest natural point in the state of Kansas. And all those windmills that you see on the horizon, those are all in Colorado. So that tells you what you need to know about how flat Kansas is. The highest point is a mile from Colorado. Well, not a creepy destination. I figured it would be a cool place to visit while I'm driving across Kansas.
In a quarter mile, turn right.
I should have turned off the GPS before I started filming.
Take the next right. In a quarter mile, your destination will be on the left.
The road is a little bit more washed out than usual. You'll probably be okay without four-wheel drive. I'm not in four-wheel drive right now, but I do have big knobby tires. But if your car is low to the ground, you might not try this, because it does involve a little bit of dirt roading. Not quite off-roading, but dirt roading. Colorado over there. And I actually first learned about this spot through American Truck Simulator. It's a hidden location in the Kansas DLC. I don't think you could actually get a big rig up here, but you can in the game. And this is it.
Your destination is on the left.
There's not much up here. It is a privately owned, privately maintained landmark. But this is it. I already took a picture when I was up here last month, 2 months ago. My Jeep had stuff all over the top. That was the picture, basically. Colorado, Kansas. Cattle have the right-of-way. It is not a state park. It receives no state funding. You're welcome to visit. Please treat with respect. Jones Herald Families. That's who owns the property. They have this nice little monument here. At 4,039 feet, we are at the highest point in Kansas. Here's the GPS coordinates on that one there. There's a guest book, which I signed last time I was here, that you can sign. You know, whenever you visit. I had also put an Andrew Callahan pin in here, and that seems to be gone, so somebody must have taken that. Somebody liked my Andrew Callahan pin enough to take it. Is the Andrew Callahan for Sheriff 1994 ones I did. They were a special item. I made like 40 of them and gave them to people who had pre-ordered copies of The Woods, my debut novel. And they have a nice little picnic area over here, fence that the cows can't get into it. I had stuck a copy of my novel, The Woods, in here. The little free library at the highest point in Kansas. And it looks like it's gone. It looks like somebody took a copy of my novel. So if you picked up an autographed copy of my novel from the highest point in Kansas, you're welcome. I don't have another copy with me, or else I'd leave another copy. That makes me happy. Somebody grabbed my novel. Anyways, yeah. My next destination will be, I'm going to drive back through Monument Rock and do a little video there. Monument Rocks, not to be confused with the Monument Rock in Wyoming. And do a little video there, so I will see you guys there. As we'll get the backside of the monument too. There's a monument for the Heralds who originally established the monument. The Herald and Jones families, not my Joneses I don't think, have been in this area for some time. And they have one of these. Florence, South Dakota. Kit Carson, Colorado is that way. I just drove through there. Holcomb, Kansas. Stockholm, Sweden. Bjär, Sweden. Weskin, Kansas is that way. Yeah, those are fun. So my next stop was Monument Rocks, which I've been to before, but I didn't film it. And while I was on the way, I thought that I might stop here in Oakley, Kansas, and visit the Fick Museum at the City Library. But unfortunately it closed, like right as I was getting here. So I wasn't able to go in there, I wasn't able to check it out or anything. But I'm walking around and stretching my legs some because I've been in the car for a couple hours at this point. And I noticed this little playground behind the library has a little dinosaur-themed jungle gym, which I love. As far as I know, there's no actual dinosaurs that have been found at Monument Rocks. There have been plesiosaurs, but not dinosaurs. But look at this guy. You can ride a raptor like Chris Pratt in Jurassic World. Or climb up a Spinosaurus. So that's fun. It's just too bad that I won't be able to actually visit the museum. Ooh, there's another little library over there. I should leave another copy of my book. I don't think I have any copies. Maybe on the way back I'll leave a copy of my book in the little library there. So if anybody's in Oakley, Kansas... Oh, there's another dinosaur. I was going to say, so if anybody's in Oakley, Kansas, they can also get a copy of my book. But I won't be able to leave it this time, and I'll have to be on the way back. That's a bummer, but this is Oakley, Kansas. I was just talking like I was filming, and I wasn't even filming, it turned out. I'm sort of running low on daylight, and I really wanted to visit the Fick Fossil Museum, as well as go film at Monument Rocks, even though I ended up inadvertently spending the night there last month after I got flooded in. So after consulting with some locals, by which I mean the guy who sold me 2 slices of pizza at Casey's, there's a campsite about 30 miles to the south I'm going to go check out and camp there. And then in the morning, I'll swing by Monument Rock, which you're not actually allowed to camp at. And I'll check it out and I'll film there, and then I'll come back up into Oakley and film, or check out the Fick Fossil Museum before I head the rest of the way across Kansas. Sounds like a plan? Sounds like a plan to me. So I pulled over for this Keystone Art Gallery Fossil Museum. Unfortunately, they were also closed right as I pulled up. But you can actually see through my bug-splattered windscreen there. That's the rocks off in the distance. So tomorrow morning I'm going to go camp, and then tomorrow morning I'm going to go check that out. This is kind of cool that this is in Kansas. I just paid for a camp spot here. It's $12 for a campsite for the night, but it's still cheaper than a hotel room. I'm trying to find my campsite now. I actually said just take any primitive campsite and attach the ticket to the post. That's what it said. It's like the second photographer group I've seen out here, but also, holy crap. This is cool as heck. Pueblo ruins. Huh. I'm gonna have to check that out. I've got some time before sunset, so I can do some exploring of this state park that I discovered by complete accident, basically. It's Lake Scott. For a campsite marked with green, because it's full primitive is where I'm camping. This is gorgeous. Probably gonna edit all this out, but you know. Circle Drive utility sites, Lake utility sites, Flatland campground, Horse Thief campground. I think if I can find a spot down here that's marked with green, I can camp down here. Kind of cutting across the grass, feel bad for that. This is really nice. Doing some research on this state park. There's a goldfinch in the trees there. Doing some research on the state park, it turns out there is a Pueblo here that is the only known indigenous Pueblo in the state of Kansas. There go those goldfinches. Apparently it was established by Pueblo natives fleeing north out of New Mexico to escape the Spanish in the 1600s, and continued being occupied until the 1800s, when they were absorbed within a local plains tribe. So I'm walking my way down along the edge of this lake to go see that. Apparently it's right up here. It is cool just being able to find history wherever you go. Sometimes all it takes is a little Googling to find ancient ruins. Big fish just bit. To find ancient ruins 600 feet from your campsite. You can actually see the Jeep over there. That's where I'm camping for the night. And the ruins are right over here. Pretty cool. I can see the appeal, to be honest, especially with the golden hour with the sunset right now. If I had to be kicked out of my homeland, which I kind of am returning to Colorado because I'm being kicked out of Missouri, not directly, but kind of. But if I had to be kicked out of my homeland, this would not be a bad place to set up a little town. I'd love to do more hiking here, but I'm going to leave first thing in the morning. It's almost a shame, especially since I paid $12 for my campsite. Camping has gotten expensive. Saw a sign for a Pioneer wagon, had to come check it out on the way to the ruins. That looks big for a wagon. Oh, I think it's a camp that you can rent to sleep in the quote-unquote Pioneer wagon. That's kind of fun. That's kind of fun. Oh, nobody's rented. I'm going to check it out. And I think the ruins are right over yonder. It's like perfect golden hour, the sun catching the hills. 10:10. Yeah, look at this. It's got plumbing. You can just rent this little wagon to sleep in for the night. Looks like it probably sleeps a couple people. That's kind of cool. Anyways, where are these ruins? I'm seeing this building on top of this hill up here. I'm hoping the ruins aren't on top of the hill. I might have to double check. I thought they were over here in this grassy area though, but I don't see any signage for them. If they are on top of the hill, I guess I'm climbing the hill. So here we are. El Cuartalejo. Just check out the sun behind those bluffs. Gorgeous. This marks the site of the Pueblo Indian Pueblo, 1604, which became an outpost of Spanish civilization and a rendezvous for French traders prior to 1720. Erected by the Kansas Society of Daughters of the American Revolution, 1925. And the actual site over here. El Cuartalejo, reconstructed here are the remains of a 7-room pueblo believed to have been built by the Pueblo Indians from New Mexico. According to Spanish records, Indians from Teos and Piqueras Pueblos fleeing Spanish rule joined their Apache allies at a place the Spanish called El Cuartalejo. The Taos Indians came in the 1640s, but several years later, the Spanish soldiers forced them to return to New Mexico. In 1696, the Piqueras settled here, but also were returned to New Mexico by Juan de Ulibarri in 1706. Later, Herbert and Eliza Steele owned this property and in 1898 invited scientists to investigate a low mound where they had found artifacts and burned corn. Excavation revealed stone and bone tools, pottery from the pueblos of the southwest, large quantities of burned corn, and the stone foundation of an adobe pueblo. No other pueblo sites have been located that far north and east. In 1970, the foundation was rebuilt to appear as it had when discovered in 1898. It is listed in the National Register of Historic Places and is a designated national landmark, erected by the state of Kansas. And this is it. See what's in there. Trash. How cool is that? It's about the size of my house. Stone from the surrounding hills was used to build El Cuartalejo Pueblo. The walls were plastered inside and out with adobe, and the roof was made of willow poles or brush covered with mud. When first excavated, an abundant charcoal, burned tools, and adobe and quantities of charred corn were found. All evidence of the pueblo had been destroyed by fire. There are no indications of doors or windows, and small paired post holes in the corners of most rooms suggest entrance by ladders through opening in the roof. After 1899, much of the erosion disintegration took place. When Kansas State Historical Society re-excavated the pueblo in 1970, portions of the hearths, 2 sections of outer wall, and several post holes were all that remained. These surviving features, with the descriptions of 1899, were used to reconstruct the ruins as appeared when they first uncovered. There's a map, so you can actually see like where those 2 stone hearths are. They've got weeds growing in them, but you can see them right through there. So they would have gotten in through a ladder. It's crazy that this is in Kansas. There's one of those stone hearths up close. Reconstructors that may have appeared will occupy the view of the south and west sides as an artist recreation based on archaeological evidence. It may or may not be haunted, but this is one of the coolest ruins I've ever visited. In 1899, when Professor H.T. Martin of the University of Kansas made the first archaeological excavations of El Cuartalejo, most of the lower part of the original stonework was still in place, as shown in this photograph. Evidence of several other buildings about 100 yards south and 25 yards north were also reported. Later archaeological work was carried out by the Smithsonian Institution in 1939, Northern Illinois University in 1965, and the Kansas State Historical Society in 1970. These investigations located borrow pits near the Pueblo walls, which contained numerous discarded Apache stone and bone tools, ornaments, pottery shards, and butchered animal bones, all indications of a lengthy occupation by a considerable number of people. Small quantities of Pueblo and Wichita and European trade pieces were also recovered. Post holes wedged with bone found along the south side of Pueblo pointed to the existence of a work area covered by a portcullis or porch-like shelter. The floors of 2 Apache lodges were also discovered and excavated about 700 yards north near Ladder Creek. It's that way. Right? Yeah, the sun's setting there, that's north. So then this is the side that would have been open to the porch. I guess it would have been 6 individual units for 6 families. Although El Cuartalejo is popularly associated with Puebloan people, during most of its habitation it was actually used by a band of Plains Apache. They were descendants of Indians who came into the plains from the north, probably in late prehistoric times. The first mention of the Plains Apache in recorded history was the Coronado expedition in 1540. They were described as a nomadic people who hunted bison and used dogs to carry their skin teepees and other belongings as they moved from place to place. After their hunts, the Apache visited the Wichita villages and Rio Grande Pueblos, trading meat and hides for maize, cotton, blankets, and pottery. Usually, they were friends and allies of the Spanish and the Pueblo people. By 1700, the Apache at El Cuartalejo had become more settled. They continued to go on hunts, but lived in their own villages during the growing season, raising crops of maize, beans, and pumpkins. After the mid-18th century, they were forced to the southwest by the Comanche, who swept into the plains as mounted marauders after 1700. This is so very cool. And so very gorgeous. But my phone is about to die. It's about to get dark, so I'm about to walk back to camp and charge my phone. I will see y'all in the morning when I head to Monument Rocks and then the Fossil Museum. I'm back at my campsite, but real fast, I did forget to mention that Pueblo ruin that I just visited, at just shy of 400 years old, is the oldest known man-made structure in the state of Kansas, which is pretty cool. The oldest. Anyways, just enjoyed a gorgeous sunset. See y'all tomorrow. Good morning. Last night was certainly eventful. I kept hearing coyotes everywhere. And then out in the pond, you can see how many fish are biting right now. Or the lake. Kept hearing the slap of largemouth bass. Between coyotes and largemouth bass, that wasn't so bad though, but several raccoons decided to get into my Jeep. You can see their paw prints all over the Jeep. I'd left this window down about this much, and if you know anything about raccoons, you cannot leave windows down. So you can see paw prints from when they came back and tried to explore how to get back into the Jeep several times. There wasn't even any food in there. There was a bag of Cheez-Its. I don't think they even found that. There's just mud all over the place now from the raccoons going up and down my Jeep all night long. Sun is about to rise. I'm gonna get some caffeine in me, wait for the sun to come all the way up, break down my tent, head to Monument Rocks. I'm gonna do a little bit of walking around before then, but not really equipped to do any serious hiking. I might have to come back to the state park. Lake Scott State Park, I think it was called. Definitely a cool spot. Sort of a little oasis in western Kansas. I would highly recommend y'all check it out. The fog on the lake this morning is just beautiful. Highly recommend y'all check it out. Very nice park. Lots of raccoons though, and hogs and coyotes. There's raccoon tracks all there. You can see that. I saw that when I first pulled up, but then I also noticed hog tracks. They're right next to where I parked my Jeep. So I'm keeping an eye out for them this morning too. I heard them last night. Not horribly close or anything. The raccoons are right outside my tent. Hogs sound like they were coming down here between my campsite and the next one that's occupied, which is 2 down there. I think that woman just slept in her truck all night. Or in the back of her truck. Good way to do it. I've done that before. Anyways, yeah, let's get some caffeine, get my day going. I'm this far away from my campsite. It really sounded and seemed like the raccoons were hiding in these reeds and coming out. And sure enough, there's a game trail here. And tons of raccoon scat. I've never heard of raccoons just living in reeds like that, but I think that's where they're staying. Wish I had seen that before I picked this campsite, but what are you gonna do? They didn't actually do any damage, so... Sun's about to come up over the bluffs to the east. Moon hasn't quite set yet. I don't know if you can see that all on camera. Yeah, it was a gorgeous night. I thoroughly enjoyed the stars.